that's taken a while to be forgiven for. I think when they fully understood what a Northern European climate was like. Where's the sun gone?
Hi, everyone. From 1Route, I'm Jeffrey Ross, and you're watching the 1Route RoundUp, the show that spotlights individuals making a positive difference in the telecom industry. Today, though, we have a special guest who is not in the telecom industry, but an amazing gentleman. We are joined by Marcus Bryant of Worldline Global. Marcus is currently the Enterprise Risk Manager at Worldline Global. He's previously been a Senior Revenue Assurance Consultant at MTN South Africa, Project Consultant Ordering Transformation at Vodafone Romania, IS Consultant at Vivitel, Principal Subject Matter Expert and Rating Configuration Team Leader at T-Mobile UK, and Turnkey Project Finance Analyst at Ericsson. Although Marcus is not currently in telecom industry, Marcus's current role and his background brings a wealth of knowledge along with a different global perspective that covers fraud that can occur in any industry. Rumor also has it that at some point, Marcus was on a chess team and he enjoyed some rowing. So, Marcus, welcome to the show.
Hi, glad to be here.
Do you still play chess?
I don't, a bit, but yeah, no, I used to be very keen as a kid.
Maybe I should say, do you still play chess as a game? You play chess in life, but maybe.
And look, a little bit, you know, my brother plays a bit now. And yeah, occasionally I play a bit online.
Rowing?
Good God, no, not anymore. Yeah, I'm absolutely loved it at university, but at the end of my first year, I cracked 2 discs in my spine, and that stopped the rowing pretty rapidly. Yeah,
that's what I was mountain biking. I continued to mountain bike until last summer, and in mountain biking, as I'm sure in rowing, you get hurt along the way. Had plenty of crashes in mountain biking. But apparently with age, you don't bounce back as fast.
It seems to be that way, right?
I don't know what happened.
Not as resilient as I used to be. There's a lot more groaning when I stand up and sit down.
Yeah, so I tore some, I don't even know. I've learned a lot more about my shoulder than I realized. I didn't hit my shoulder, hit my elbow, tore something in my shoulder. So yeah, I had to have surgery, so I'm still on the mend, so to speak. But there's definitely no rowing happening for me right now. We should have done this interview the day of my surgery. It would have been hilarious.
Well, I would have chuckled. I don't know if you would have been laughing. Sure.
Or maybe the day after I got out of surgery. It was a bit of a fog, but that would have been a fun time to do an interview.
Could have had some interesting questions and follow-ups. Yeah.
Definitely some interesting, probably I would have been culture canceled answers, but all right, Marcus, what we do every time and what I like to do for every guest is, where in the world are you today?
Today, I am in Scenic in the Netherlands. So it's a small town just outside Schiphol Airport, actually.
So you're in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
Life is good. And
yeah.
For those of us who have not been to the Netherlands, what is because you're a little further north than I am, if we look at the globe.
Uh-huh.
How hot does it get there?
Heat isn't really a unit of measurement that I would apply to the Dutch culture. I mean, it does warm up in the summer, right? It's about 15 degrees. That's no help to you whatsoever. It's Yeah, it's like what's that? I don't know, high 60s.
60s. Yeah.
No.
That sounds no.
No, maybe 60s, 60, something like I don't know.
Yeah.
To be honest, but it's 14 degrees Celsius anyway. Which is,
Sounds nice.
okay. It's sunny at the moment, but it is they talk about different cultures depending on the weather. They have a different number of words for the weather. So, for example, if you live in the Arctic, you might have a lot of words for snow. If I tell you the Dutch have a lot of words for rain, that I thought the UK was wet. I was misinformed. This is probably wet. So
that sounds yeah, I agree with that. We probably have a lot of words for hot, and we're not the hottest place on earth by any means. It's just Texas really only has 2 seasons. It's hot and cold. And they really just kind of come together throughout the year. It's hot today. I'm telling you, yesterday, shorts and t-shirt. Today, long sleeve shirt and pants. And that's Texas. So
I didn't realize it was that variable.
Yeah. Who knows? But you can always guarantee summertime is hot. So don't worry. If you need some dry heat and get out of the rain in the Netherlands, come to Texas in the summer. You'll be okay.
I'm kind of fairly well acclimatized to it, I have to say, but the girls would definitely appreciate it. Taking them out of Africa and bringing them to the Netherlands. Yeah, that's taken a while to be forgiven for, I think, when they fully understood what a Northern European climate was like. Where's the sun go? Yeah.
All right, Marcus. One thing we also like to do is I really like to listen and hear about people's journeys on how they got to where they're at today. Obviously, you've had an incredible journey, and just listing off just a few of the jobs that you've done in the past, and they all correlate with a different country. Can you sum up for us, because we're limited on time, shortly, can you summarize how your journey and how you got to where you're at today?
Yeah. So the first job I had out of university was working for Ericsson. And Ericsson were in the process of rolling out the network for the 4th mobile operator, 1-to-1. And I helped them with a technical solution, which took the remaining cost on the network build and gave them a view by region and also interfaced with the accounting system. So that was kind of how I started. And then I was contacted by people at 1-to-1 who wanted to know if I would be interested in coming and doing some similar stuff on their end for them.
Okay.
So I did. I guess is the short version of that. And I started at 1-to-1. Had a number of years there, left for a little bit, did some software development and a bit of IT systems administration, came back. And then 2007. Let's see, I did a 2007 was my first kind of overseas gig.
Okay.
And I went to assist a friend who had become the CFO of a mobile startup in Bulgaria. Did a fairly wide variety of work there, starting with a little bit of revenue assurance, but looking at all sorts of aspects in the business that was just kind of finding its feet. Then a bit of revenue assurance consulting for a vendor for a while. and then joined Tony Sarni at Vodafone Romania. Worked. Where should I pick that up from?
So yeah, and that's where our editing team will see how well they can splice things together. So, sorry, I heard footsteps. Is like, I think somebody's about to come in my office.
Yeah. I was good to see him.
Apologies, Marcus. So, anyways,
no, not at all.
So you basically Ericsson to doing some time in a startup, learning some revenue assurance, and then I'm assuming, how did that? Let me think how to say this. So Ericsson to the startup to revenue assurance, you kind of get your feet.
Ericsson to one-to-one.
One-to-one.
Mobile operator.
All right.
Yeah.
Now we can
so
one-to-one to the startup, revenue assurance.
Yeah. So I mean, the team at one-to-one was pretty special, I have to say, and you already know quite a lot of people from that team. Tony, obviously. Eric, Nixon, and many others. It was, I think, the most fun I have ever had in an office, just in terms of being surrounded by lots of inspirational people,
right.
Big thinkers, strong opinions. We had some crazy arguments in that team, but some amazing stuff came out of it, you know, and a lot of what we did in that team had kind of set the standard within telecoms for, you know, this is how you take a risk-based approach to, you know, operational risk management effectively. And that was late 90s, early 2000s. And yeah, a lot of thought came out of that team. A lot of thought leadership came out of that team, and a lot of models and frameworks and all the rest of it. So really stimulating environment to work in, if, how can I put this, somewhat volatile.
That's pretty neat though, because you bounce down to South Africa, you stay in telecoms, bounce down to South Africa, and I think with all of us in all of our journeys, it's definitely all about who you know, or being right place, right time, who you know, all of that stuff.
Sure.
And then now you're in the Netherlands, not in telecom. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I felt, you know, cards on the table, that piece of work that we did, that, you know, that Tony led at MTN, is probably the work I am most proud of in my career. I think we set up some amazing stuff there. We worked with some amazing teams and people, and I learned a massive amount about, you know, not just Africa, but different ways of approaching things and doing things.
Yeah.
I really loved my time at MTN, but at the end of it, I kind of felt I've done this.
No.
You know, nothing really changes if you understand the first principles of what you're doing well. It never really changes. You get different use cases, but you're always doing the same thing. And I felt I needed a change. I wanted to look at the broader risk environment. So ERM made sense. Possibly changing industries at the same time was a little bit cavalier. So learning two new things at the same time. So payments. But I think particularly because we've been looking at mobile money, obviously, quite a lot. In MTN have got a very impressive mobile money product. And so we had started touching on some of the payments side of things and the payments related risks. So it was kind of like a natural migration to there because, you know, it was something that I didn't know that I knew a little bit about. So yeah, just for something new to kind of broaden my experience a bit and have a look at another industry and, you know, potentially develop some expertise that maybe at some point I might bring back to the telecoms world or not. So it was a good opportunity because actually at Worldline, when we started at MTN, there were 3 MTN employees, and then Tony added, including himself, 3 more to that team. That was the start. So Tony managing it, and the 2 consultants were Shane Fryer and me. And you know, as I say, we did a lot of really cool stuff in a very short amount of time there. And I saw Shane had taken a role in the Netherlands, and I gave him a call and said, look, I see you're looking for an enterprise risk manager. Would you be interested? Well, he obviously was at least marginally interested, otherwise I wouldn't be here. So that's really how I ended up in the Netherlands. I'd always wanted to live for a period in the Netherlands. And I think having a young daughter, I wanted a more secure environment than South Africa for her to grow up. And I also wanted to be closer to my parents and that good stuff. So
makes sense.
The Netherlands made a lot of sense. So yeah, that was 2020, which obviously was a fantastic year to decide to emigrate.
That's a great time for immigration.
It was marvelous. So,
so for the audience that is not aware of history or anything, that's horrible. That was a lot of sarcasm. So
yeah, it was. So 2020, I landed basically. The plan was, it's the standard expat, you know, immigration plan. Yeah. You land first, you get your job sorted, you find somewhere for the family to live, the family join you. So I landed, started looking for somewhere to live, lockdown happened. Boom. That was February. And then lockdown finally finished or got to a point where we could be reunited in December. So I wasn't allowed back to South Africa because I'm not a South African national.
Right.
So it was, I will summarize it with, it was not a fun or particularly easy or productive year for me. Challenging. That's what we call it, isn't it? It was a challenging year.
Nice way of saying it. Well, we're glad you're there. More importantly, glad your better parts of your family are there.
Definitely the better parts.
Sure. You know, one thing I know you and I were talking about offline. Let's talk a little bit about OTT apps and fraud. And a lot of people have a general, and I'm painting with a broad brush, but have a general, in general, have switched over to using OTT apps like WhatsApp, Skype, Signal. I don't know. The list continues to grow as I guess companies sell and restart new ones. But you know, security purposes or to obviously to save money, you know, if you're calling internationally or whatnot. Do you think, are these apps 100% free of fraud, or can fraudsters still utilize methods to abuse these apps to commit their crimes?
I mean, it's a good question. Are they free from fraud? No. Well, I mean, yeah, I suppose it depends what you mean. Like, can they be utilized to commit fraud? Yeah, of course they can. So if you can use an email, you know, or you can use an SMS, you can use an OTT platform, you know, just as effectively. I think at least they're encrypted.
Right.
And at least in general, you can't intercept them. So that's 2 up on SMS already.
That's a good point.
It's kind of relevant at the moment because of Mr. Musk's how do we call that? Tantrum over SMS recently, and he's right. It's not a good way to manage 2-factor authentication.
I read something. I think it was Eric Priescons. If you're watching this, I think it was your article that, or maybe a post or something that's like it was developed. SMS was never developed to be a secure way of communicating.
So look, we can do this. Should we launch it as a product? Yeah, why not? Kids love it. It's amazing. Yeah.
Exactly. No, and
well, I mean, I might have truncated the discussion that went on at the time slightly, but more or less, I mean, that was pretty much what it was, or to my recollection, anyway.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah,
that's what it was, right? Supposedly, but no, it's. Can you tell us? And if not, this is where we edit this chunk out. But can you tell us? Can you tell us about the story you were saying about the deputy?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I should have linked into that more smoothly, really, shouldn't I? So
nothing between the two, you and I speaking, we're just going to make this as smooth as possible.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, we've just recently had a case at Worldline where a senior finance manager received a WhatsApp, and it looked like it was coming directly from the deputy CEO's WhatsApp account. Had his picture in the top left. The language used wasn't the normal, if I have, that instantly tells you, you're being phished.
Sure.
And I probably shouldn't go into too many details about what was requested, but essentially, we have a lot of merger activity going on at the moment, a lot of kind of secret squirrel projects and things like that. And, that's not a secret. We've been actively engaged in mergers and acquisitions. And so it was preying on, look, we need to do this kind of secretly and quietly and blah, 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 blah. I just need you to move some funds around for me so they're available for a tender and blah, that type of thing. So the standard, as an individual, you have to weigh up, this could be really good for me if I can help the deputy CEO out here, versus that little nagging voice that we all have that this can't be right. And the manager made the right decision. That this can't be right.
Yeah.
So it was discovered, and we already have phishing campaigns that are going on that that intensifies, and we make sure that the management are all aware that we're being targeted.
Well, and I think it just goes to show that fraud happens at all levels. It's not just the lower or the upper, it's all levels. Back when I was in the banking industry and the bank that I worked for, all it took was senior management to click on one attachment, and next thing you know, there's an open door and customer information is compromised. And it's a I mean, it happens. People, unfortunately, there's always going to be the human error, and it happens. You cannot, whatever else we do, you cannot stop humans from humaning, as I read on another LinkedIn post this week.
I mean, we are the
mess up daily.
Yeah, right. I mean, my mum got caught. She got a phone call of somebody pretending to be an engineer for their internet service provider and persuaded her to download a remote control program onto her computer. And, she's got banking apps and things on there. So, yeah, the rest is kind of predictable. I mean, she was lucky. She realized what was going on fairly quickly. But
that is good.
They are getting better.
And I was about to say, it sounds like the what is it, Marcus? It sounds like the prince in Nigeria who used to always email me for my inheritance. I could collect my inheritance. Now they've moved on from email to WhatsApp or whatever else they can find.
Well, I mean, and this is really interesting because you read any guidance for organizations about how to deal with this type of fraud, and they always start telling you, well, these are the different sort of giveaways that you can look for.
Yeah.
And one of the key giveaways that they always tell you is, if there's bad spelling, there's bad grammar, there's, it doesn't flow really. And, technology at the moment changes all of this completely. You've got ChatGPT, which writes very nice spelling-free prose. And, effectively, they succeed because they fire hundreds of thousands of these attempts out in general. Now, you've got ChatGPT, which improves the quality. So that nagging voice that we have, this doesn't seem quite right. That voice, I think, is going to start getting quieter and quieter for us as this improves. And if you look, you think about what was done with that WhatsApp, so they've just changed a profile photo there on the WhatsApp so that the profile photo is the deputy CEO. What happens when they give you a Teams call and they have managed to use AI and video footage of your executives that they've pulled off the web to piece together your deputy CEO asking you over a Teams call? Now, that's complicated to achieve, but you've already got people who have, are exploiting vulnerabilities in the Office 365 environment. You start adding these different components together. And I think within a very short time frame, we're going to have some very sophisticated, very difficult for a human to say, I don't think this is, to be able to recognize it as a fraud. I think the level of sophistication that is being developed at the moment in terms of manipulation of images and video, and I think I mentioned on the email as well, there was the concert that was recently recreated in London with ABBA using hologram technology.
But I watched the video and I didn't think there in the beginning, I was like, oh, it's people putting on a concert. And it didn't even hit me that, why does ABBA still look the same age as they did, 40 years ago?
Yeah.
But it looked so real. I mean, it looked real.
Right. And I think, there's also, there's a television show about shy people who want to be famous for dancing, and they superimpose a monster. Yes. Right?
It's impressive.
Now, if you can do that with a 3D monster model, you could do it with a human as well. And when they start doing that, and those avatars that look exactly like one of your executives starts calling you, and they'll be able to use AI to make sure that the pattern of language or key phrases that you would associate with that person are included. It's going to seem very authentic. And if you've already got people who are struggling now and who are getting fooled with what they're being hit with now, when this starts happening, it's going to be really challenging. You're going to make sure that.
I would say, fortunately for some of us in Texas, our AI is going to take a little while to catch up to some of our sayings. And Marcus, I have a hard enough time with talk to text. Google does not understand anything I'm saying. Apparently,
it could be worse. You could do class region.
It's like, dadgum, Google, you don't understand texting.
Well, actually, those things might be the kind of things that end up saving us.
Well, and I think a lot of times, and I joke around it, but a lot of times, let's say we say dadgum it. Well, Google's sitting there trying to figure out what word did this guy just say it, and then number two, how do you even spell it? But maybe
there's not even consensus on that half the time. So
that's right. Maybe it's the slang that will end up saving us. But you hit an awesome topic, and I would like to kind of wrap up the serious questions with this. What do you think? What is something that we should, in your opinion, what is something that we, senior management, executive, whoever, what is something that we should be doing, whether it's in the credit card transaction world or telecom, your opinion, as these technologies develop, what should we do to not fall victim? Listen to the nagging voice.
Yeah, always. I think as risk professionals, one of the reasons we are risk professionals is that voice is particularly strong in us. But for everybody else, it is, people are going to have to get really familiar with processes that, what are the established processes? Who can I check this with? And making sure that people understand how things should work, so that anomalies, spoofed anomalies, are easier for people to identify as spoofed. And making sure all the necessary approvals and controls and checks are in place, so that people cannot get taken advantage of in this way. But there's only so much education you can do, and I think the thing that is definitely true, and it's not really any different in payments compared to telecoms. The standard problems exist. It's, can you persuade the organization to spend the money on it, on security and compliance and risk management?
Right.
And cooperation. And setting up, cross-industry cooperation. And if telecoms companies can be a bit secretive about what they're doing and sharing data with each other, financial services companies, at least as much. So, when there is great sharing of information and sharing of experiences across an industry, you reduce the little chinks in the armor that can be exploited by fraudsters. The more people understand how things should work, again, it's the process thing as well. The more people are familiar with how things should work, the easier it is to detect variances from that and think, hang on, this isn't quite right. This should come from X person or Y person, or it should be accompanied by I don't know. So it's going to be really interesting to see how things evolve, and how big the first hit is that persuades, because this is the way it always happens. Somebody is going to get absolutely clobbered.
Right.
I'm bidding. And then
say $1.
People start to take it seriously.
First hit's going to be $1, followed by $1 billion. I hope not. Just no. I hope that doesn't come true. Well, Marcus, we appreciate you, and we appreciate the risk professionals like yourself that are out there, that are staying on top of the technologies, that have that nagging voice louder than the rest of us. So greatly appreciate you and the work that you do day in, day out. But I think the more important thing is it's time to learn who Marcus really is. And this is where we come up. It's very complicated, but we have data scientists at the 1Route Labs that have come up with 15 questions. And by the end of the questionnaire, we should know who Marcus really is. You ready?
Good God, I hope not. Okay.
Let's get this show going. All right, Marcus, what is the best condiment?
Salt.
It's been around.
It's like the universal condiment, right?
Yeah.
Fat or monosodium glutamate.
Perfect answer.
Salt.
I like it. If you only had 5 minutes in a grocery store, what would you buy? You only got 5 minutes. What do I need? I don't know. 5 minutes worth of salt.
I don't know. You need to be more specific. You just fried my brain.
I didn't mean to
with that. What are my needs?
I don't know. What your grocery store might be different.
I don't know. I guess food.
Food.
Yeah, food and water.
I'd get groceries.
yeah. I'd get food and water. More specifically, I don't know. A nice steak. Do you know what?
I like that. Yeah.
A really nice steak. I live in a household now that, apart from my 5-year-old daughter, doesn't contain meat eaters, and I really miss proper steak.
All right, come. It's an open invite. Come to Texas. The steak will be ready.
Awesome. And bourbon?
Sure.
Even better.
Is a hot dog a sandwich?
Ooh. Technically, yeah, it kind of is. But
I don't. People seem to
thing between two slices of bread, right?
So. This is the way I look at it, but apparently the hinge is what throws people.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, it's not detached.
So I look at bread, or you could say bread filling bread, whatever. But the hinge seems to. There's an argument behind that.
So what happens if you accidentally cut through too far on the hot dog bun and the hinge separates?
Man,
what is that? That's no longer a hot dog, right?
It just evolutionary.
You can send it back.
Sandwich.
This is no longer. You've given me a sandwich here.
I ordered a hot dog and you gave me a sandwich.
No tip for you.
That's the best point I've heard all season.
Awesome. Where are we? We're only question 2, 3.
I'm lost on my questions now because you just blew my mind with the fact that what if the hinge breaks? Marcus, do you have any hidden talents?
No, they're all immediately obvious.
There you go.
No,
easy answer. Tell you what. If the police showed up at your door and arrested you without giving any reason, what would your friends and family assume you've done?
That's a very long list.
Let's go with one of your top 2.
One of my top 5 crimes. Let's go with probably written off a vehicle. Yeah, maybe something like that. Road traffic accident.
I like that. That's good.
Well, I wouldn't, but okay.
It's a safe assumption. What is the last book you read?
It's right here.
It's 12 Rules for Life. I like it.
No, I did.
Was rule number 1 read the book? I mean, that'd be so it's a bad joke.
Rule number one is something that my grandparents drilled into me. It's amazing how much of the stuff is, but anyway, stand up straight. Shoulders back, chest out, stand up straight.
Confidence.
Yeah. Like that's about how the world perceives you, right?
I got you. That's okay. If you could have a walk-in song, like sports teams or sports individuals, they walk into the arena. If you could have a walk-in song, anytime you entered a room or when you go into a meeting, what song would play for you?
Oh, God. I'm not saying that. You ask some really difficult questions.
These data scientists will rack your brain.
They're causing me problems.
Sweet Caroline.
Probably. Probably Champagne Supernova by Oasis.
Okay. Oasis, we are mad at y'all for never getting along. Please. Yeah. If you could travel anywhere in the world, where would you go other than Texas?
Of course, other than Texas. China. I'd really like to have a look at China.
That'd be cool.
That'd be really. And South America. I haven't been to South America, so I'd really love to go to South America as well.
Yeah. Patagonia. That'd be.
Oh.
I mean, you might as well head down, all the way down.
Bit of alone seasons 4 and 5, something like that. Be amazing out there.
Yeah. All right, Marcus, we're going to take it back to music. If you could erase one song from the history of music, what is that one song that should never have been created?
Everything by ABBA. All of it. Just get rid of it. Do I have to pick one song, dancing?
No. I mean, I suppose you can go ahead and say ABBA. No more Dancing Queens.
What a waste of a hologram.
Well, I can tell you after Mamma Mia came out, the movie, obviously.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, no. Well, you have not lived life, my friend. So we're gonna go with ABBA on that one. That's okay. Do you collect anything?
What do you mean, other than useless chargers, cables, and things that plug into stuff?
No.
Sure. I mean, those obviously. I have a box of cables on 1, 2, definitely 2 continents. 3 countries, possibly 4 countries at the moment. I've always got a big box of cables and stuff that I cannot throw away just in case. So they get collected.
I get that though. I still have I still have the first iPod that I've ever owned. With the spinach green background, like the old Game Boys.
I've got the first Motorola phone. I ordered, the ones with the massive humpback and the little plastic thing that came up.
Yeah.
1994.
Don't know why I can't throw it away. It's ridiculous. Although I bet I could.
There's not enough room in the bin.
I could knock someone out with that thing, though.
You could. Those things were heavy. I don't know how we got them into pockets and things then, but sheer force of will. What was the question?
Well, you answered it.
Did I answer it? Okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
you answered it.
I had a better answer, I think. That I was
Oh,
going
okay.
into.
Marcus, do you collect anything?
Oh, do I collect anything? I used to collect. No, I didn't have a better answer. I should have just walked away from that when I had the opportunity. I used to collect chess sets.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man.
Whiskey.
I've got a chess set back. I don't know if you can see it in the little corner. There's a chess set. They're little Aztec figures.
Oh, yes, I
carved out of
see. Yeah,
marble.
very nice. Yeah, I used to really like. They talk about the Lewis style of pieces. They're named after some pieces that were discovered on the Isle of Lewis, and but the ones that are carved to look like human, and I always
That's cool.
quite like those send your troops into battle version of
Very nice.
chess. Whiskey, I collected that has stopped now, obviously, because yeah. But it used to be with whiskey and wine.
Gotcha.
I had quite a nice collection of South African red wine and very nice collection of whiskey and bourbon.
Very nice. There you go.
Still in a container in Johannesburg.
Yeah. Who is your favorite? Who is your favorite teacher?
Wow. Probably Dr. Hansford. He was an English teacher at my secondary school. Ridiculously bright guy, very funny, very sarcastic, swore a lot, but also smoked. And we used to have a little competition with him, which was, could he roll himself a cigarette before one of us could read the entire register and register everybody in the class? And he could. He was extremely adept at rolling cigarettes. Instant sacking for doing that these days. But yeah.
That's a good one. All right. Now, what is the best candy bar?
Wow.
I know.
Do you know what? I've always really, really liked the Whisper.
Okay, hold on. We had a guest on that also brought up the Whisper.
Oh, the Whisper.
And now
it's like a bubbly aero type thing, but it's just got finer bubbles in it. It's just better. I love the Whisper.
Okay. Next time I'm heading to that side of the pond, I'm gonna try this Whisper. So I'm not kidding. You're the second one that said Whisper. So it's on now.
It's a thing.
Very important next question.
Okay.
Do you prefer apples or oranges?
I was almost certain I was going to answer this question, Android. Apples.
Apples. And you know why? That's right, correct?
Because an apple a day keeps the doctor away.
No. Gosh, no. It's horrible answer.
What was the correct answer?
No, the correct is because you can put peanut butter on an apple.
But you can put lots of things on an apple. It doesn't mean I'd do it.
Okay, Marcus, you can't put one on an orange. Technically, you can put peanut butter on an orange, but I don't recommend it. Peanut butter, slice of apple.
But you do recommend putting peanut butter on.
Absolutely. Your kid.
Have you tried it with brie?
Apple and brie?
Well, I'm possibly going
brie and peanut butter. Which one are we going with?
Amazing.
Apple and brie. Now, I have not tried brie and peanut butter. I have tried.
Yeah, there's a good reason for that.
Well,
I'm not sure.
I like cheddar and peanut butter.
Really?
Yes. It's weird, but it's good.
Well, I'm not going to argue with that.
I want you to, this is your homework assignment. Get a slice of apple, just a regular red apple, some peanut butter. I don't know what kind of peanut butter they have in the Netherlands, but some creamy peanut butter.
This is very interesting. We are about the only nation in the world that doesn't have peanut butter.
Good. Gosh,
we have peanut cheese.
This place.
Peanut cheese is what we have.
Peanut cheese. Well, this
it's
explains
peanut
why
butter,
no one.
but they just call it peanut cheese for some reason.
This explains your reaction. Why would you put peanut cheese on an apple? That sounds horrible. Maybe
I'm gonna have to try it then. Okay, I'll report back when I'm trying.
Regular, the kind made with peanuts that are crushed up. Peanut butter, apple.
Oh, okay.
The kid's gonna love it. I promise. Yeah. 2 more questions. If you lost your phone for the day, what would you do?
If I lost my what now?
Your phone. If you lost your phone for the day, what would you do?
Celebrate?
Yeah.
Yeah, worry about that later and enjoy the peace and quiet.
I love it. All right. Last thing, Marcus, what brings you hope?
Hope.
Hope. I think you lost a few more.
You've asked some really difficult questions today. What brings me hope? My daughter.
I was going to answer this for you, Marcus, if you didn't.
Now, well, it takes a bit of time, but
yeah,
it's
also
a lot.
It also depends on the day.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But it's a lot to put on the shoulders of a 5-year-old, right?
Yeah. True.
She's the only source of hope in the universe.
Yeah.
But she's capable. I'm sure she can deliver.
That's what I like when people ask, since we have kids the same age, they said, "Oh, isn't it just so wonderful?" It's like, yeah, most days.
Yeah, almost always.
Almost.
I had the first. I wasn't expecting this for a while. I had the first. I hate you, Daddy. Wow. Yeah. It's like, wow. I might have to go off and have a little cry.
They can hurt you.
Yeah, followed up by the what was the because I got Madison kicking me. I'm like, stop that, sweetheart. You know, that's not appropriate. That's not how people treat each other. How would you feel if I started doing that to you? Now, bear in mind, she's 5. She said, well, I'll tell the police and they'd arrest you and put you in jail.
She's got it figured out.
Already. She's realized I'm
5 years old.
Powerless. Yeah.
Marcus, I appreciate it. And you are now a known man. And all that's left to do is for you to look in the camera and tell us what is on the horizon for Marcus.
Oof. I mean, that's a good. What is on the horizon? I mean, I think there's a lot to do at Worldline. Still, you know, it's a company that's finding its identity, and you know, because it's built up of multiple acquisitions, you've got varying levels of adoption of risk management in the individual components, in terms of leveling something, creating frameworks and policies and things that work for everybody. There's a lot of stuff to do there still. I don't know, honestly. I mean, I think for me,
that's the beauty of an adventure.
I have been so focused on, you know, being a dad, and at the age of, you know, 45, trying to work out how to be a dad and adjusting my life for that I honestly really haven't thought about, you know, what I'm going to do. And I would say I've probably only just got to the point where I feel like, right, okay, I've got this now. You know, it's been hectic. I think as Maddie gets a little bit older, I think it becomes more feasible to look at, you know, I really enjoy traveling and working. So I would like to do that again. at some point, and I'm getting on now. So
That's
probably
awesome.
sooner rather than later. And I think what we all want to do at some point, work for ourselves again. I think that is definitely on the tick list for winding down into retirement. I can't believe I'm saying that. But for winding down into retirement, I think working for myself again would be quite pleasant.
It'd be good.
But we'll see. We'll see. I mean, who knows at the end of the day what the future holds.
I like it.
Being flexible.
Marcus Bryant,
is the key.
You're an awesome man, and I really appreciate you being on here, and appreciate you sharing with us today. And like I said before, we appreciate all that you and your team and other risk professionals out there do for us each and every day. So thank you from us to you. And yeah, thanks for being on the show. So
thank you for inviting me. Thank you
to all the audience, whatever the people watching this thing. Make sure to like, subscribe,
like and subscribe.
Yeah, Insta, Face, tweet, chat, whatever you do. Otherwise, Marcus is coming for you.
Right. That would be the crime. Kneecaps. That's what I should have gone for instead of road traffic accident. Kneecaps.
Marcus, until the next time.
It's been a pleasure. Great to talk to you again, Jeff.